If you had to name this chapter in your life, what would the title be?
Whoa. If I had to name the chapter in my life, I think I would name it Transition.
Hmm.
Just simply because, right now for me, everything is new and it is fresh. And it's new and fresh just simply because I made a decision to step out of my comfort zone and to do something that I've never done before in order to start something that is fresh and new.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, I've always lived a comfortable life, believe it or not. I was in the city that I was born and raised in my entire life. And a year ago, I made a decision to leave everything. I sold my home, all of the furniture that I had, it's still there in storage. And I walked away from a church that I founded and pastored for 16 years. I burned the mortgage and announced the new senior pastor all the same day. And I moved, I packed my bags and I moved to a city that I never thought I would live any place other than Michigan. I mean, I went to Texas. So, just transitioning and walking away from everything and starting fresh and starting new. I really didn't know how bad I needed it.
Mm.
And I began to realize that I was actually dying where I was, and I wasn't being as effective as I could be, and I wasn't benefiting the people that I was covering and pastoring. So being here, it not only revived me, but it also revived my former church as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. You're not playing starting off here, so okay. I'm ready for you, Bishop. I came ready for you tonight. So let me ask you this: when you say you were dying, what do you mean? Because one of the things I've learned, Bishop, is that when the soul is broken, the blood that runs there, it makes no sound. You can't hear that bleeding,
Right.
And so people don't know that it's happening. So when you say that you were going through that, what do you mean?
Well, I make this statement all the time. I tell people all the time that you can't be anything to anyone until you're everything to yourself. You can't be anything to anyone until you're everything to yourself. And I found myself at that particular point in time, I was like just going through the motions. I was in autopilot because all of the stress and the pressures, the hardships and the heartaches that I had gone through in my city. From the passing of my wife, it'd be 10 years ago, my late wife, from her passing to having to raise children, trying to figure out how to navigate through that, business practices with charter schools and all of these different things that were kind of thrust into my hands. So what I found myself doing is that I found myself just functioning and trying to be everything to everyone, but not really being everything to myself. So I'm walking wounded, like you were just talking. I'm bleeding, and nobody can see me bleed because it wasn't happening on the outside. It was happening on the inside. So for 2 years, I prayed. And I really asked God about direction. And after seeking Him and Him releasing me from my city, which was shocking, because I never thought, again, it's easy to pack your bags when you 22. When you're 32, you think about it a little bit more. When you're 42, you kind of go back and forth with it. But at 52, you better know it's God. You better know it's God at 52. If you're going to walk away from everything, you better know it's God.
It better be God.
It better be God. And people assumed when I left that I was leaving to go to a mega church. And I wasn't. I wasn't going to a mega church. I was just going to a new start and fresh beginning.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's been great, man. I love it. I'm thankful that I was mature enough and strong enough to make that decision. My middle child told me, she said, "Daddy, I didn't think you were going to leave. I really didn't think you were going to do it."
Yeah.
And the reason why is because she understood and felt like I was knitted to that situation. And I came to realize that, this church would be better without me because I'm wounded and the healing won't take place until somebody else steps in my place.
Yeah, no, that's rich. I mean, all of that's rich. And first, thank you for sharing that. You know, letting all of us into your internal deliberations about that, because people obviously know that you left Michigan and you went to Texas and you're pastoring there. But of course, as as people who follow your music and your career, we didn't know what the deliberation was behind it. And so I appreciate you sharing that with all of us, because people marvel at you and they respect you and love your work and your music. And it's gonna sound crazy, but it's good to know that you struggle too.
Oh yeah, I mean that's normal. And may sound cliche-ish, but the truth of the matter is that all of us have those never would have made it moments. We have them, and that was mine. It was am I going to remain in this position and posture, or am I going to go to the other side of it and become stronger, wiser, and better? And that's what we did. And I believe now that the rest of my day is going to be the best of my days.
Well, I believe that you should be saluted for that, because I think it takes a hell of a man to know when his part in the story or the journey is over. Yeah. Because it's so much easier to double down based upon ego and pride and insecurity, and just to say I shall remain.
Especially when you started.
Especially when you started.
Nowhere. I'm staying right here. I don't care if everybody leave. I'm staying.
It's my baby. And
I was like, no, it's not fair to them. And then again, not being selfish, but it wasn't fair to me. And
most of all.
Sometimes you're not being selfish when you need to be self-focused.
Yeah.
And I think that's what many of us miss. That there's a difference between being selfish and self-focused. And I just felt like it was time for me to be self-focused in this.
No, I love it. Listen, I'm going to take a break in a second, but what I just got from everything I think you've been saying to us is sometimes the only way to love a thing is to leave it. And sometimes leaving is love. And we don't often think that. We think leaving is staying. And that's true. That's true. But to stay with you does not mean that I have to be there with you. Take me into your new single that you've released. Thank You for It All. I want to end with that tonight, because I think that single encapsulates everything that I'm trying to get across tonight. Thank You for It All. Talk to me about that. Give me 30 seconds of talking to me about it. And if you would, don't you want to sing a little bit of it?
Well, I mean, quickly, Thank You for It All. The reason why it works so very well right now is because with everything that we're going through, I mean, literally, with COVID and systemic racism and all of the things that we're experiencing, the Bible tells us that we're supposed to give God thanks in everything. But
in all things, give thanks. That's right.
In all things. So Thank You for It All speaks to that. And my goodness, I thank you for it all. The good, bad, the ugly, great and small. The times of victory and when I fall, I'm so grateful that I'm still standing tall. I thank you for my tears. The pain helped me overcome my fears. You've been good to me down throughout the years. It's a miracle that I'm still standing here. All that I am is because of all that you brought me through. And everything I survived is all because of you. I'm grateful for you.
Bishop Marvin Sapp. Listen, everybody, get that single. Thank You for It All.